Boochani is a multiple award-winning Kurdish-Iranian journalist, scholar, cultural advocate, filmmaker and human rights defender. However, he cannot be here today as he remains incarcerated by the Australian government on Manus Island. During his almost 6 years of imprisonment, he has documented Australia's offshore detention regime through dozens of articles. He co-directed the 2017 feature-length film Chauka, Please Tell Us the Time, and recently his book No Friend But the Mountains, Writing From Manus Prison, was announced as the winner of the 2019 Victorian Premier's Prize for Literature, as well as the Prize for Non-Fiction. Behrouz has kindly sent us a video message recorded by his translator Omid Video that we'll play an extract of shortly, and we'll make the fuller video available on our website. First though, I'd like to read a short message that he has provided to accompany the video, and he writes, "The Australian policy of exiling people to Manus Island and Nauru has essentially been established by a colonial mentality. It must be interpreted in relation to the colonial character of Australia's modern history. Australian authorities have used Manus Island and Nauru for holding innocent people for years, and throughout this time I have talked to the Governor, MP, many other officials here on Manus, who say that the Australian government representatives have never talked to them directly. That is, they have never involved them in the process at any time. They only engage with the Prime Minister and other politicians in Port Moresby, and refugees were then brought to Manus Island based only on their communication and agreements. They never talked to Manusians and never tried to engage with them in developing and implementing this policy. This shows clearly that the Australians do not respect local people and have no concern for their needs and thoughts. Believe me when I say that many people on Manus Island are very angry at the Australian government because of the way they have played with the reputation of people on the island and made Manus and its local population look bad in the media. The Manusians are not satisfied with the policy and its consequences. In addition, when the Australians exiled refugees to Manus Island, they told us that the locals are dangerous people and even used harmful terms to refer to them and their culture. We were told that these people are cannibals and are prepared to hurt us. Also, they told the Manusians that refugees are dangerous criminals who could create trouble at any point in time. So they created unfounded fears between the refugees and the local community. They have used these fear tactics to keep refugees on Manus Island for years. In my film, Chauka, Please Tell Us the Time, my articles and my book, No Friend But the Mountains, I examine the colonial mentality shaping this policy. Through my work, I have tried to break the rules and regulations that allow for this situation to become a reality. I have tried to break apart the borders created to keep people apart. I think people are people and we should trust in humanity and rely on each other. I would also like to raise a point about some of the Australian guards and other employees working on Manus and the crimes they have committed. Some have raped women on the island, and also an Australian guard and a New Zealand guard were both involved in the killing of Reza Barati in 2014. They were never tried in a PNG court. The Australians do not even recognise the PNG justice system. This is another part of the colonial mentality. Australia does not respect the local people on Manus and has no respect for PNG as a sovereign nation. So, Amy.
Hello everyone. I would like to say hello and thank you for having me today in this session. Right now that I'm talking with you, we are here for about 6 years. It is unbelievable. Even I know for you and even for me and the refugees here, we didn't expect that Australian government be able to keep innocent people for almost 6 years. I think I would like to talk about this policy generally, that we are struggling against this policy, a barbaric policy that is with a long history of creating suffering and torture on innocent people. So it is a long time, and I believe that for understanding this system, for understanding this policy, we cannot understand it out of time. I mean, we should understand this policy in some different periods, and that is a historical way. For example, we should say that, you know, in our lives, you know, at the beginning of this policy, at first 6 months, you know, they were treating us in a different way. And after the 6 months that we had the big riot on Manus Island, you know, they treated us in a new way. And after that, after 18 months that we were in the prison, we had a long, you know, hunger strike, and a big hunger strike. And after the hunger strike, they sent some of the refugees, the leaders, to the local prison camp, and we were in the prison for 3 years. And then PNG Supreme Court ordered that this keeping people in prison is illegal, and so they opened the gates, but still we were in a prison because we couldn't reach to the Lorongo town and the community. And after 4.5 years, they relocated us by force to new camps, and right now we are living in the community. So I mean by telling, you know, giving you this information, I know that you are aware of that. What I mean is that for understanding this policy, we should understand it in different periods. Before the riot on 2014, after the riot to the hunger strike that was on 2016, and after that to the PNG Supreme Court, and after that another period was relocated us to the community. So for understanding this policy and the history of this policy, we should understand it in different periods. But the system is same. The system, you know, treated us in different ways, but actually we are struggling with the same system, a system that still is creating suffering, but in a different way. So just I wanted to, you know, explain this, that we cannot Manus Island, Manus prison camp and this policy without think about history and time, and that's why I think it's very important. In end, I would like to say something about our movement, the refugees movement, and how the civil society has, you know, is fighting with this system and with this barbaric policy. First, we should ask this question: that what's happened in Australia, that a government like Australia has created a prison camp like this? It is a main question, I think, that civil society in Australia should answer and think about it to answer this question. I know that you know, it is a global problem that many governments in the Western countries, you know, are shifting to the right wings parties, but in Australia actually they did. So we can see that fascism policy happened on Manus Island and Nauru. So we should answer this question, because I believe that the Australian government, you know, couldn't do this policy and keep people in Manus and Noro without support. Of course, definitely the party, like a political party like Liberal has got support from the society, and that's why they have political benefits to do this kind of policy. Another question that I would like that all of us think about it. I know that many people are engaged and involved in this issue, and you fight a lot. But we should ask this question: that we have been struggling against this system for years in Australia and also in refugee community. Why, after 6 years, still the refugees are living in Manus and Naro? It is I think a very important question. Probably we have made many mistakes in our way, and I think we should change our advocacy way and the way we are struggling against this system. So I think we should create new ways and criticize the system in different ways. In some ways that we be effectful and push the government and force the government to change this policy. I think that while the refugees, innocent refugees, are political hostage in Manus and Nauru, we should ask this question from ourselves, and nothing happened. If only one individual refugee remain on Manus and Island and Nauru, it means that still we defeated. Although I think already we defeated in some ways. So just I wanted to share with you this ideas and this question. I hope that we think deeply about this and do research and try to understand it in a deeply way. Yeah, thank you very much for your time. Yeah, thank you.
But I think in this video, Behrouz poses an important challenge for all of us present here today. I think he challenges us to think about our actions and to think of new or underexplored forms of critical resistance. He challenges us to reflect upon and evaluate what we have learned over the past 6 years and how we can work more effectively to compel change through alternative ways of criticising the detention system and researching and understanding how it continues to operate. So I think his own artistic and academic practice has demonstrated the importance of using multiple mediums, whether that be art, film, literature, journalism and protest, in documenting and exposing and challenging the violent and oppressive regime that he's been incarcerated under. Within his contribution, he also raises an important point around how we measure success, and that as long as a single person remains imprisoned on Manus or Nauru against their will, we have not succeeded. So the kids are off of Nauru now, however the hundreds of adults held in limbo, Australia's extraterritorial prison camps must not be left behind. In a statement he prepared for the Academics for Refugees National Day of Action last year, Behrouz wrote, "It's the duty of academics to do research that unpacks where these policies stem from, why they are maintained, and how they can be undone. It's the duty of academics to understand and challenge the stark historical period and teach the new generations to prevent this kind of policy in the future." So I think it's with this in mind that as academics, researchers and activists that we've undertaken this project. And before I hand back to Sabendi, I would also just like to acknowledge that, as mentioned by Behrouz, tomorrow actually marks the 5-year anniversary of the murder of Reza Barati on Manus Island. And since then, 11 others have died on Manus Island and Nauru, as we've documented in one of the case studies on the site, drawing upon the work that Behrouz and others incarcerated on the islands have undertaken. So as I'm sure everyone is here aware of today, this lethal policy will continue to take lives until it's abolished, and so I hope we all take on Behrouz's call to action going